Hello and welcome. You're watching UTV Live at 6.
Good evening. These are the headlines.
Parents of one of the two girls killed in a horror crash outside Monaghan say life without their daughter has been a living hell.
27 months down the road. Has it got easier? No. Is it going to get easier? I don't think so.
Just seems to be getting worse.
Under the spotlight, almost £22 million spent on restricted procedures which should only be carried out in very specific circumstances.
And we speak to a young County Down woman with disabilities living in a nursing home as she waits for a suitable house.
Are you world champion?
He's top of the class. Lewis Crocker opens up about what's next for Northern Ireland's new champion of the world.
Also tonight,
we're in Armagh, where the world of high fashion has been taking inspiration from an unlikely source.
And we have plenty of fine and settled weather on the way over the next couple of days, but we will hold on to quite a lot of cloud. I'll have all of the details later in the programme.
the parents of Kia McCann, who was killed in a crash on her way to a school dance in Monaghan in 2023, have described how they frantically tried to save their daughter and her best friend, who both died at the scene. Teresa and Frank McCann have described life as a living hell without her.
Anthony McGinn was driving the car carrying the girls and was travelling at almost twice the speed limit. In May, he was sentenced to 7 years for dangerous driving. You may find some details in Sarah O'Kane's report upsetting.
Kia McCann loved life. Kia and her best friend Alava Mohammed died on their way to their school dance in a horror crash just outside Clonus in July 2023. There were 4 of them, including Alava's sister, in the car. Despite the teenagers begging the driver to slow down, he didn't. Kia's parents were first on the scene after getting a call there had been a crash.
I just went in and started to try and work in Kia, but Kia was too badly injured. Kia was instantly killed. Just turned to the lava then and tried to work on the lava, but you know the 2 girls were gone. So the 58 man came over and he says, "Means me, Frankie, I'll help you with whatever you want." Please. And I said, "No," I said, "you need to do." I said, "If there's a beads or something." So I just kneeled down and prayed and gave them the last rites. Then put the 2 girls lying together, so we did.
What has life been like without Kia?
Terrible.
It's not the word for it. Really isn't the word for it. So it's not, it's just living a hell, that's all it is. You get up every morning and you know that place is empty. They just really broke everyone.
61-year-old Anthony McGinn of New Bliss, a family friend who had offered to give the girls a lift to the dance in Monaghan, was jailed for 7 years after admitting to dangerous driving back in May.
Anthony McGinn was so-called best friend. Anthony McGinn would have been 7 days a week with me. We would have driven motorbikes together. Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest kick in the face you can get.
You trusted him?
Is to have that much trust.
I would have trusted with my life.
When you heard they begged Anthony McGinn to slow down, what did that do to you?
Completely destroyed me. How even the judge knew and could hear that they had begged for their lives. That they begged him to slow down, and he still got the sentence that he got. 7 years, nothing.
7 years.
7 years. We have a lifetime now without Kia.
What do? We go to a graveyard and talk to it. You know, it was a headstone on a grave where your child is.
And it's not just us, it's their own kids too.
We have kids that won't even go up to the graveyard.
Kia was only 17 and wanted to make a difference by becoming a social worker.
Kia was a wonderful girl, absolutely wonderful person. That is the thing about it. And Kia would have made a big impact in this world. Really, really would have.
Of course you would have.
Frankie and Teresa McCann ending that report by Sarah O'Kane. Almost £22 million was spent in a single year on restricted procedures by Northern Ireland's health trusts, procedures which should only be carried out in very specific circumstances.
That's the finding of Northern Ireland's Auditor General, who said that the lack of oversight by the Trust and the Department of Health is very disappointing. Well, Daniel Duffy has been looking into this and has the details.
Yes, Rose. These procedures include the likes of breast reduction, liposuction and tattoo removals. Meanwhile, almost £6 million was spent removing patients' tonsils. Today's Audit Office report looks at the Department of Health's effective use of resources policy. This policy states exactly what procedures should be carried out and in what circumstances, and it's all about greatest clinical benefit. The Audit Office report found that the years 2023-2024, Northern Ireland's Health Trust spent almost £22 million on restricted procedures. Close to 12,000 procedures took place. On average, over 40 per day were carried out without assurance that complied with government policy. The Northern Ireland Auditor General has made 3 recommendations in the report.
So our report makes 3 recommendations, and they are quite simple: that the trusts need to put in place procedures to ensure compliance with the policy, that the department needs to put in place oversight and monitoring arrangements to ensure that the policy is being complied with, and we also recommend that the policy itself should be reviewed every 2 years.
Well, in response to those 3 recommendations, the Department of Health and 5 health trusts said they will work to implement them. They said they acknowledge the concerns raised and that they accept that oversight arrangements must be strengthened.
Thank you, Daniel. We're moving on now, and the Conservative Party leader says she will abolish stamp duty if her party gets back into power. Kemi Badenoch was speaking at the end of her party's annual conference.
Our political editor, Tracy McGee, sent this report from Manchester.
The leader's speech is the big set-piece moment of any party conference, and Kemi Badenoch was under particular pressure given the fact that the Conservatives are trailing Reform and Labour in the polls. Her answer was to unveil a big rabbit-in-the-hat policy, abolishing stamp duty.
So I have looked at the stamp duty thresholds to see where we can change them. I have looked at the rates you have to pay to see if we can lower them. I have decided that we can't, because that simply wouldn't be enough. Conference, the next Conservative government will abolish stamp duty on your home.
So how can you afford to scrap a tax that last year raised an estimated £11.5 billion? Well, Kemi Badenoch says that she can shave £47 billion from the budget, but that will mean cuts. She is proposing to reduce the overseas aid budget, shrink the civil service and cut welfare benefits.
We will restrict benefits to those with the more severe mental health conditions, not anxiety or mild depression. Yes, these challenges are real and people should get support, but they cannot be treated as a reason for a lifetime off work. And third, we will restrict motability vehicles to people with serious disabilities. Those cars are not for people with ADHD.
There was no specific mention of Northern Ireland in today's speech, but of course the policies announced today will directly affect Northern Ireland, including the plan to abolish stamp duty. There was a repeat that the Conservatives will take the UK out of the ECHR and a pledge to restore protections for veterans. Kemi Badenoch received the obligatory standing ovation, but she, like everyone else, knows that what she has outlined today is simply a wish list unless the Conservatives can get back into power. And according to the polls right now, that is a distant prospect. Tracy McGee, UTV Live, at the Conservative Party conference in Manchester.
The Fianna Fáil Parliamentary Party will meet within the next hour to consider the fallout over Jim Gavin's exit from the Irish presidential race. Taoiseach Micheál Martin has faced questions about Mr Gavin's selection after the former Dublin GAA manager withdrew his candidacy at the weekend, following reports that he owed a former tenant several €1,000. Well, I spoke to Kevin Doyle from the Irish Independent from Dublin earlier. Kevin, your paper broke the story about Jim Gavin. How damaging is this for Micheál Martin?
It's incredibly damaging for Micheál Martin. He's been the leader of Fianna Fáil for many, many years now, brought them back after they hit their lowest point following the economic crash. And there has never really been a meaningful challenge to his leadership in all that time. But this feels different. This one is very much attached to him. He chose Jim Gavin. Some TDs say that they were effectively cajoled into backing that decision against their own better judgment. And so for Micheál Martin, it is a really, really big problem, and TDs are furious. The word fiasco has been used time and time again over the last couple of days.
So he faces a meeting of the Fianna Fáil Parliamentary Party tonight. What's the mood music?
Well, it's bad. They want an explanation. They want to know what sort of vetting process took place for Jim Gavin. Did those who vetted him just take everything he said, take his word for it, or did they actually do any investigation or any looking into him themselves? They want to know, why did they go down this celebrity candidate route when there were others, such as Bertie Ahern or Billy Kelleher, the MEP, who had suggested they were interested in running. And ultimately, they want to know what took place over the last 3-4 weeks when queries first went into them at the start in early September. And why did nobody in the party realise that this might become such a big issue that would leave them with no candidate on the ticket for the presidential election?
Well, what has Micheál Martin been saying in his defence?
In his defence, he's been saying, well, it was a democratic vote, so actually all the TDs and senators decided to put Jim Gavin on the ticket. He's been saying they did do due diligence and that it was robust, that they asked Jim Gavin about these questions when the Irish Independent first put it to him, that Jim Gavin said there wasn't an issue. And obviously, over the last few days, that story has changed and that he basically was blindsided by this himself. So he will try to ride it out. And let's be honest, he will survive it today. But it's probably the longer run here for the clock perhaps starting to tick on Micheál Martin's leadership of Fianna Fáil. And you could perhaps see something happening down the line that you'll go back and look and say, this was the catalyst.
OK, and just in a nutshell, do you think he will lead Fianna Fáil into the next election?
I don't see it, to be honest. He will be Taoiseach for well over another year. His year and a half to go as Taoiseach. I think at that point, the changeover where he would let Simon Harris become Taoiseach, he would become Taoiseach. I think it's very hard to see that he leads Fianna Fáil beyond that point, given what we're dealing with this week.
Kevin Doyle, thank you very much.
Well, separately in the presidential race, Heather Humphreys has said a campaign video about her visit to Belfast, which features Germany's Parliament building, was an error. The Fine Gael candidate, who is from a Protestant background and grew up in the border county of Monaghan, visited Belfast on Monday, where she met students in the west of the city and spoke to unionists about their concerns. The video was taken down before being replaced with the image corrected.
One of the soldiers present at Bloody Sunday said he was so terrified at being under fire that his knees were trembling. The statement by Soldier H said it was the most scared he has ever been in his career. His statements have been described as key evidence in the trial of Soldier Ev, who is accused of 2 murders and 5 attempted murders. He denies all the charges, and his defence argued that the hearsay evidence is contradictory, unreliable and inadmissible.
A masked gang has stolen a significant sum of cash from a filling station in County Tyrone. The robbers, who were armed with and wearing boiler suits, threatened security staff at a cash machine on the Caledon Road in Auchnacloy at 20 to 7 this morning. The gang ordered staff into the ATM bunker, then stole cash boxes from the security van and ATM before making off in a dark-coloured vehicle.
Around 1,200 pigs have died in a fire in Coleraine. Over 50 firefighters tackled the blaze at a farm on the Kilmaconnell Road after the alarm was raised at 8 o'clock last night. The cause of the fire is believed to have been accidental.
A young County Down woman living with several disabilities has spoken to UTV about her frustration at being on the housing waiting list.
Kelly Gill, who currently lives in a nursing home, has received a number of offers, but says that not one of them has been appropriate. The housing executive has said that every effort has been made to help her and that she remains a priority. Paul Riley reports.
Kelly Gill lives with a severe neurological condition which has led to her becoming deaf and visually impaired. Kelly has spent recent years in nursing homes but wants to live independently.
Nursing home I'm in is lovely. The staff make it nice, but ultimately it's not home. It never has and never will feel like my home. So I'm just feeling a little lost because I'm still a young-ish woman. So I do still want to live my life and move on, but I just feel like I'm stuck. And being in the nursing home has detrimental effect on my mental health.
Kelly is currently on the housing executive waiting list. She has had offers, including a property that was specially adapted, but she suggests more work was needed.
The front door, my chair couldn't fit through properly without the arms of my chair being damaged. So in the end, they said they would not make the adaptations to the front door until I accepted the tenancy and lived in the house.
Kelly says she saw 2 other houses, though she told us neither met her needs. Kelly does recognise there is pressure across the housing sector.
I know the situation is dire throughout Northern Ireland and the housing executive are limited. But equally, I feel like it's not just me in this situation. When I've addressed it with my housing officer and stuff before, they've said people have waited years, you know.
In a lengthy statement to us, the housing executive said every effort has been made to find Kelly suitable accommodation. We're very sympathetic to her and we continue to treat this case as a priority, stating in 2023 we completed a major bespoke adaptation to a property in agreement with the applicant. However, on completion of this work, she refused to live in the property. Offers of housing continue to be made as she remains on the waiting list. These have so far been declined, adding we will continue to work towards a successful housing solution for the applicant. Kelly is working hard to learn to walk again, something she was told she'll never do. She's also just as determined to find a new home. Paul Riley, UTV Live.
It's now 17 minutes past 6 and time to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
And here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the evening news, scrap stamp duty. The Tories promise to voters if they get back into power. Kemi Badenoch's announcement pleased the audience at the Tory party conference. We'll look at how it would be paid for and how voters might respond. We speak to presenter Myleene Klass after a man's found guilty of stalking her. And we'll catch up with Daniel Craig to hear about his role in the new Knives Out film. Will you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Now, we all fear losing a wedding ring or a piece of jewellery somewhere like the beach or even up a mountain. But luckily, I should say, there are those out there who specialise in retrieving valuables.
Father and son Andrew and Ryan McCloy spend their spare time helping various people to find their lost items. And they do it by using their metal detectors. And they've even uncovered a bit of Viking memorabilia for good measure. Jordan Moore spent the day with them on the north coast.
Scanning the surface for what lies beneath. Father and son team Andrew and Ryan help people find lost items with their metal detectors, and they've got pretty good at it. So around this corner, Ryan, is where you seem to find most of your stuff on this beach?
Yeah, this would be the hot spot here, so it is.
Mostly wedding rings, engagement rings.
Yeah. Rings that have been passed down through generations because it's a lot of sentimental value in there by keeping it in the family and
Plus
stuff.
you get emotional as well, which that's really enjoyable.
But sometimes, obviously, on a beach, it's not easy to tell where's where because it's all sand, but it can be easy or it can be extremely difficult.
Our motto, if it's there, we'll find it. If it's not, we can't.
One such wedding ring they found recently was that of Elaine's, a Dutch woman who was on holiday in Northern Ireland when it went missing right here at White Rocks Beach in Portrush. Despite searching for hours, she had no luck until she found Andrew and Ryan, and they found her ring.
Alexander and I had been married for 50 years, and this wedding band had been with me through every high and low of our lives. And it was actually ChatGPT who suggested Andy and Ryan. It sent me a newspaper article about them, and I thought, well, sure, I'll give it a go. So I sent them a message, and soon enough, a reply of them popped into my inbox. And we discussed some details, like where we were last time on the beach, and they would give it a go. And I was so happy that they would even try it. It was so kind of them.
As well as finding sentimental items, it turns out it only takes a few minutes to uncover centuries of history.
What am I looking at here? You're looking at a Viking silver ingot, 9th century, 10th century it was. So that's just a photograph of it. I found it one morning in Derry Keegan in the field, but when we got back to the house, I thought it was just only a bit of metal. We washed it and dried it, and then Ryan here spotted it.
Did a bit of research and we thought it could be a Viking silver ingot, so we researched up, and yeah, it looked similar. So then we got in contact with Greer Ramsey from the Ulster Museum. After research, they were able to verify that it was.
The hope is the artefacts will soon go on display at the Ulster Museum in Belfast, where you won't need a metal detector to see them.
Finding lost items on a beach, many would say, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. But when you have one of these and you know what you're doing, that becomes a lot easier. Jordan Moore, UTV Live, Portrush.
Wonder what he found. World champion Lewis Crocker is all set to get back into the ring early next year. Crocker won the IBF welterweight belt last month after beating Paddy Donovan in the first All-Ireland world title fight. And his first defence is likely to be in Belfast at the start of 2026.
While negotiations are ongoing, the celebrations have been continuing for Crocker's success, as our sports correspondent Ruth Gorman reports.
Can we all be upstanding and cheer for our new world champion?
When you have a past pupil who has just become a world champion, it's easy to pick your special guest for prize day. 12 years after leaving Malone College, Lewis Crocker was the centre of attention, having achieved his childhood dream.
To be back here, it just seems like yesterday that I was one of the kids in the assembly, so to be back here as world champion, I can be more proud.
We still see Lewis as Lewis, our people, but they just thought it was Lewis world champion. But he loves to hear over again. It's fantastic for us to bring somebody back to the school. We're proud of all our students, but to see you taught a world champion and to bring him back to see the classrooms that he sat in and see the pupils is a real role model for everybody.
What sort of pupil was he? He spilled the beans.
He's world champion boxer, so I have to be nice. But no, he was very quiet actually. He played football. He continued to box and played football. And he wasn't an angel by any stretch of the imagination, but he was very good, and we're very, very proud of him.
And the new IBF champion passed on words of wisdom to the current pupils.
You talked about this being a dream since you were a kid, but did you really believe it when you were here studying? Did you believe that one day you'd come back with this belt?
I was hoping, because I didn't walk away with much GCSE, so I had to work out, so it did. But that's it. Like I said, never give up on the dream. But I think just the way everything's happened in the last couple of weeks is still surreal to me. But I think it's just part of the journey, and I'm glad I stuck at it.
He said, no matter who you are, I'm normal like you, and if I can get it done, you can too.
He only lives up the street from me, so he does. He's very local. I'm very proud of him. I can't believe he's done so well for himself.
It was so amazing. It was so real. I felt like I was actually dreaming, but it was here. I was so happy to meet him.
To me personally, he's a big inspiration because I'm a boxer himself, boxer Emerald ABC.
How excited was everyone here at school to see him today?
Oh, they were really excited. It talked to the school, everybody talked about it, every corridor you can't. It's talking about Crocker.
It's been 3 weeks since Crocker overcame Paddy Donovan at Windsor Park, and the magnitude of his achievement has finally sunk in.
Yeah, it gets better every day, Ruth, so it does. I'm still in cloud nine at the minute, but I'm looking forward to sitting down and getting the plan, see what's next. But it's great still waking up every morning world champion. Like, I'm just a normal bloke who achieved his dream, so if I can do it, certainly everyone else can. No matter what happens, never give up on the dream, because you have a lot of obstacles in life you have to clear. But it's the end goal, the end journey, and that's the one that matters.
Our new world champion, Lewis Crocker, speaking to Ruth, and we wish him well in the defence of his title at the beginning of next year. Now, the Armagh Rhymers are rooted in Celtic folklore with their distinctive woven masks and celebrations of traditional Irish music. They bring ancient heritage and culture to life.
Now those traditions are being embraced by, of all people, dedicated followers in fashion, because the Rhymers have inspired the fashion powerhouse McQueen. Rory O'Regan went along to Armagh to find out more.
From the rooftops of an Irish culture centre in the Orchard County to the glitzy surroundings of Paris Fashion Week, the Armagh Rhymers feature heavily in Alexander McQueen's new collection, inspired by ancient traditions and rituals.
It was surreal. I mean, I have never been to anything on that level before. I mean, it's much more like an art show than a fashion show. And of course, the entire stadium that we were in was sort of designed to look like huge mummers' hats, the conical rainbow hats that we would wear all the time. I just couldn't believe that there was the Irish mumming tradition in Paris being, shown on such a large scale, really.
So these are the three characters who made it over to Paris, and the little goat is one of our oldest masks. It's probably over 50 years old at this stage, and he had to get a little repair by the McQueen team on the day. His little beard had to be added by the back of house team, so we said that the goat had to go into hair and makeup with all the models.
So this event would have been attended by hundreds of people who work in fashion, but the invites were actually made here in Armagh.
Yes, so this is what started the project. They wanted to use a strawcraft item as part of the invitation to the fashion elite and celebrities who were coming to the show. So we sent them several options and they chose the traditional harvest knot. And these were all made locally in Armagh by Moira Burns from Cottage Corncraft Armagh. And she made 550 of these little knots in a matter of weeks. I don't know at what speed she can make one. But so they were all local, and part of the story and part of what McQueen wanted to get across was local craft and local heritage and celebrating these traditional crafts.
While the link between fashion and mumming might not seem obvious, performers say it's a perfect fit for the catwalk.
You could see the similarities, like we talk about a line of mummers coming through the door to perform on the kitchen floor, but they were on the catwalk walking around in a similar fashion, and each one dressed differently. And that was the great thing about the mummers' characters, that people made their own costumes and wore it then. And
an old Irish tradition finding its way in the modern world. Roy O'Regan, UTV Live, Armagh.
Now, you'll probably agree with me, the weather has been nice enough in most parts of Northern Ireland today.
And the outlook appears pretty calm for the coming week too. With the full weather forecast, here's Louise.
It's time to take a rain check. There's no place like home. UTV Weather. Sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
Hello there, good evening. It was another rather cloudy and dull day. Limited spells of sunshine, if any at all, and over the next few days there isn't really much change. Plenty of cloud in the forecast, staying largely dry, some patchy light rain and drizzle at times, with limited spells of sunshine, and it's all due to high pressure. It's slowly starting to build in through Friday and into the weekend, but we do have quite a lot of cloud associated with that high pressure system. It's quite stubborn to move and clear, so we will hold on to the cloud over the next few days with some patchy light rain and drizzle at times. Taking a look ahead this evening then, cloud will thicken overnight, quite a murky night, low cloud forming over the tops of the hills, where we could also have some mist and fog patches forming, one or two very light showers edging in across the northwest during the early hours, but it is a mild night, temperatures holding up in double digits, lows of 10 or 11 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow gets off to a cloudy, murky, dull start, overcast into the afternoon as that low cloud and hill fog is slow to lift and clear. One or two light showers pushing in across the northwest and the north coast with limited spells of sunshine, a westerly breeze and highs of 14 or 15 degrees Celsius. Across the rest of Ireland, it's a largely dry and bright day across the southeast and the southwest. Thicker cloud pushing in across western areas. Temperatures reaching highs around 15 or 16 degrees Celsius, so not feeling too bad in any of those brighter breaks. This time last week, we were looking ahead to Storm Amy arriving in on Friday, but this week it's a very quiet outlook. Plenty of cloud, settled conditions with lighter winds and a few glimmers of sunshine across the west on Sunday. That is the very latest. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grande Rona R290 heat pump.
Now, just before we go, a reminder of tonight's top stories. Parents of one of the two girls who were killed in a horror crash outside Monaghan say life without their daughter has been a living hell.
Under the spotlight, almost £22 million spent on restricted procedures that should only be carried out in very specific circumstances. And that's the way it is in Northern Ireland this Wednesday tea time. I'll have the next local bulletin at 10:35, and you can stay up to date on our website. Just search UTV News.
The ITV Evening News continues now with Mary Nightingale, but from Paul and me and all of us on the news team here at UTV, have a a very good evening.
Good evening.